The story begins with the introduction of our protagonist. His name is Sirrus, a man known for his upright character and unwavering principles. Sirrus reveals that some time ago, he activated a system with the potential to awaken the deepest, most hidden feelings inside any person. However, at first, Sirrus hesitated to use it, unsure of the consequences. He refused, thinking it would be too dangerous. But one fateful incident changed his mind, forcing him to use the system, though he never imagined it would lead to this. What happened was that Sirrus and his group were chosen by the higher authorities to serve as bait in order to lure out the enemies. The authorities believed they were expendable, as they were considered low-grade heroes. The enemy, on the other hand, was far too powerful for them to face head-on. With such overwhelming odds, most of Sirrus's companions fled in fear. Yet Sirrus, driven by his sense of duty and honor, refused to run. It was here that another pivotal character entered the story, the demon princess Yug. Yug, with a mocking smile, stood before Sirrus and his group, laughing at their futile resistance. She sneered, "Is this the power of human heroes? So weak, so powerless. You're no match for the great king." Sirrus's companion, Bella, a Class D hero, could see the hopelessness of their situation. She urged Sirrus to flee, as the enemy's warcraft levels were far beyond their own. Bella, who believed Sirrus was just an F-grade hero, felt there was no need for him to try to be a hero in such an impossible fight. But Sirrus, standing firm, shook his head and replied, "I came here to ensure the safety of the city. How can I run away at a time like this? I won't abandon my duty." As Yug, unimpressed by their resistance, let out a loud yawn, she stated, "Humans are so weak. I have no interest in you at all." But Sirrus, resolute in his decision, declared, "I will not back down from this battle." At that moment, something unexpected happened. Blood began to drip from Sirrus's nose, an alarming sight. Bella, concerned, asked, "Your nose is bleeding?" Her worry deepened as she realized that just standing still was putting too much strain on Sirrus's body, and yet he was still trying to fight. She urged him once again to run, but by then, it was too late. A goblin, having observed the situation, whispered to Yug that another human was standing behind them. This information made Yug pause for a moment before she turned toward Sirrus. A wicked smile spread across her face as she issued a chilling order to her goblins. "Wipe him out, and make a wine glass from Sirrus's head to present to my beloved king." Yug's presence loomed closer as she prepared to strike, but Sirrus, determined to protect his people, activated his power. In mere seconds, he locked Yug into a combat stance, though his tension remained high. To his surprise, instead of attacking, Yug leaned closer and opened her mouth to devour him. But what happened next was something nobody never expected. Yug kissed him. The kiss was brief, but it was enough to cause a strange change in Sirrus. His power, which had been teetering on the edge, suddenly upgraded slightly. Bella, stunned beyond belief, stared at Sirrus and shouted, "Sirrus, what are you doing?" Even the goblins, shocked by the turn of events, asked Yug, "What are you doing?" One of the goblins tried to approach, but Sirrus reacted quickly, striking him down with his sword. The goblin was sent flying, and Yug, startled by this sudden action, distanced herself from Sirrus. Sirrus stood there as if nothing unusual had happened, acting as though he had achieved exactly what he needed. Bella, on the other hand, was red-faced and embarrassed, her mind racing as she tried to process what had just occurred. Meanwhile, Yug was left feeling confused and uncertain. She had intended to consume Sirrus, yet she had kissed him instead. She couldn't quite understand why she had done it, but she couldn't shake the feeling that somehow it was Sirrus's fault. In a moment of intense determination, Sirrus raised his voice, shouting to his companions, "For the safety of the people of this city, I will not hesitate. Even if I must sacrifice my entire body, I will not back down." With his sword in hand, he prepared himself for the coming battle, knowing there was no turning back. The goblins, watching Sirrus, began to discuss the strange events. "Why did our highness kiss a human?" they whispered among themselves. They had heard rumors that Yug had an interest in a young one, but they never imagined it would be a human. Just then, the goblin leader arrived and scolded the others. "How dare you question our highness's actions? You are monsters, and only filthy humans commit such acts of infidelity." Meanwhile, Yug was consumed with worry, fearing that the king might find out about her kiss with a human. Her heart raced, and the situation seemed increasingly strange to her. She couldn't explain why she was feeling this way, but one thing was clear. Things were getting complicated. Yug quickly ordered her goblins to take down Cirrus. The goblin leader rushed in to attack, but Cirrus was ready. With sword raised, he stood his ground, preparing for the inevitable clash. When the goblin leader struck, Cirrus tried to defend himself, but was shocked when his sword shattered in one swift blow. The goblin leader attacked again, but this time, Cirrus managed to dodge the strike. It was then that he realized something astonishing. His defense hadn't improved, but his attack power had surged by a significant amount, by 100 points. Cirrus attacks again, and surprisingly, the goblin's sword also breaks. Then, another goblin appears from behind. Cirrus attacks with full power, and the monster is sent flying far away. Bella is stunned, watching in disbelief as Cirrus actually manages to defeat the monsters. She can't understand how a level F hero could possess such immense power. Cirrus, however, watches intently as the goblin he attacked with full force seems only slightly damaged. A mere scratch on its body instead of being torn apart as he expected. Cirrus is trying to piece everything together when, just as he's distracted, Yug sneaks up from behind and delivers a surprise attack. However, Bella notices everything and quickly warns Cirrus about the impending attack. Cirrus, reacting quickly, turns around and attempts to block Yug's attack by creating a shield with his hand. But it doesn't work. Yug's strike is too powerful, and she stomps on him with full force. The blast that erupts around them shakes the ground, but against all odds, Cirrus remains alive, though crushed on the floor. Seeing an opportunity, one of the goblins charges towards Cirrus, determined to finish him off. Cirrus feels the pressure mounting, as he has neither the power nor the time to defend himself. Just as things seem hopeless, a huge tail appears and swats the goblin away, sending it flying. The tail doesn't belong to Cirrus, though. It's Yug's. The other goblins are left in stunned silence, and the goblin leader, Goblin, asks Yug what's going on. Yug, looking almost embarrassed, commands her troops to stay still and not to move, warning them that anyone who disobeys will be killed. Her face reflects an odd mixture of frustration and embarrassment, almost as if she's caught between wanting to do something more intimate and keeping control of the situation. But then, she tells her troops that she wants to personally give Cirrus a lesson with her own hands. Hearing this, the goblins cheer with excitement, eagerly shouting yes in agreement. Yug, with her mouth slightly parted, begins to walk towards Cirrus. As she approaches, a drop of her saliva falls onto Cirrus' ear, which unexpectedly boosts his defense power by 50 points. Cirrus, feeling the strange sensation, wonders if this is the price he has to pay for gaining more strength. For someone with an upright character, this experience feels more like an insult than anything else. But then he reasons that if this small indignity can protect the people of the city, it's probably worth it. On the other hand, Yug is feeling conflicted about her actions. As a monster, she feels she shouldn't be acting this way, but her body and instincts are fighting her control. The goblins, too, are confused. They assumed Yug was intent on killing Cirrus, but the scene unfolding before them suggests something entirely different. The goblin leader, trying to make sense of the situation, warns them not to be presumptuous and to open their eyes properly to understand what's happening. He tells them to look closely and realize that Yug is actually having a breakthrough with Cirrus, and if they don't understand that, they should keep their thoughts to themselves. As Cirrus' defense and attack powers continue to rise, he wonders whether he'll be able to handle the entire group of goblins. He attempts to retrieve his broken sword, but the goblin leader catches the movement and immediately warns Yug. In response, Yug swiftly grabs Cirrus' hand with her tail and chokes him by the neck. She lifts him off the ground, her anger clear in her expression. The goblins, thinking this is the moment Yug is going to finish Cirrus, cheer with excitement. But Yug suddenly hesitates, her behavior still feeling strange. She moves closer to Cirrus and asks him if he has the courage to fight against monsters. She threatens to strip him right there and then, and in an unexpected move, she tears his t-shirt. Yug explains that she wants to show humans the difference between their frail bodies and the power of monsters. However, deep inside, Yug seems more interested in Cirrus' muscular body, especially his well-defined six-pack abs. The other goblins observe the scene, and some begin to murmur among themselves, finding Yug's actions to be both ruthless and somewhat personal. They believe Yug is delivering a harsh lesson to the humans. Meanwhile, Cirrus is beginning to panic. His armor has already been destroyed, and as Yug's hand draws near, he braces himself for the worst, fully expecting to endure whatever is coming. Yug, meanwhile, is feeling a mix of tension and a strange romantic attraction. She's trying to maintain control, but it's becoming more difficult. With both her hands now on Cirrus, she's incredibly close to him, and her eyes betray a deep longing. In a shocking moment, Yug kisses Cirrus. Cirrus feels the sharpness of her teeth during the kiss, which brings a sense of pain along with the unusual experience. He suddenly realizes that his current strength is not enough to deal with monsters. Bella, witnessing everything, is utterly confused and embarrassed. She wonders if this is a battle or some sort of romantic engagement between Cirrus and Yug. Cirrus, however, is willing to endure any pain if it means protecting the safety of the people in the city. While Yug holds him, Cirrus takes a bold move. He pulls her closer and kisses her back, desperate to upgrade his power and defense. As their lips meet, Cirrus' strength increases, much to the shock and confusion of Bella and the goblins. Just as things seem to be escalating, the real king, Demon Lord Bartley, arrives on the scene. He spots Yug kissing a human and is utterly shocked. His sword falls from his hand as he stares in disbelief and shouts, "Yug! Yug!" Realizing what's just happened, immediately pulls away, her face flushed with embarrassment. She looks up, and the goblins, upon seeing their king, are equally stunned. Demon Lord Bartley, still in shock, stammers, "You literally kissed that human?" Meanwhile, Cirrus' system detected Bartley, and Cirrus received a critical hit that doubled all his bonuses, allowing him to level up once more. Bartley, enraged, shouted that he would kill Cirrus. Yug, embarrassed, told Bartley that things weren't how he thought and asked for time to explain everything. At the same time, Cirrus was wondering if his current level would be enough to fight the king. Bartley, furious, attacked Cirrus and yelled for him to stay away from Yug. In an instant, Bartley closed the distance to Cirrus and struck him so hard that Cirrus was flung into the air and hit the ground forcefully. The impact had a severe effect on Cirrus' body. Bella, worried, asked, "Are you okay?" Cirrus responded, "I can still manage." Cirrus started to wonder why Bartley had suddenly appeared before him and why his attack power was so overwhelming. On the other side, Bartley asked Yug, "Didn't you say this wouldn't happen again?" Yug didn't respond. Bartley, trembling with anger, asked, "Don't you remember what you told me last time?" To his shock, Yug shouted angrily, "It's all your fault. Why did you come so late? And what were you doing?" The goblins and Bartley were stunned by Yug's response. Yug yelled again, blaming Bartley for being late and forcing her to repeat the same mistake. She accused Bartley of ruining things on his own and now questioning and threatening her. Bartley, confused, tried to speak but couldn't find the words. Yug asked again, "Why did it take you so long? And what were you doing at that time?" Now Yug's anger turned toward Bartley, and the entire scenario shifted. Trying to make amends, Bartley said, "Yug, please don't be mad. I was wrong. I saw some humans running and want to deal with them. This won't happen again. Please don't be angry." The goblins were observing all of this and began discussing among themselves. One goblin said, "Our king is so affectionate toward his queen that he's ready to admit his mistake. That's why he married a formidable queen like Yug." Another goblin said, "My level is so far behind the king's. Maybe I should just enjoy the single life." A third goblin realized his mistake and decided to confess his feelings to his crush, Mrs. Satter, the next day. Meanwhile, Cirrus was tense, thinking he should quietly slip away while everyone's attention was elsewhere, as the level gap between him and Bartley was too vast. Yug started crying, which made Bartley even more anxious. He kept pleading with her, "Please stop crying." The goblins were still discussing their opinions while Cirrus quietly planned his escape. Cirrus asked Bella, "Can you walk on your own? Or should I carry you on my back?" Bella replied, "Don't worry. My leg is slightly fractured, but I can walk on my own." On the other side, Yug told Bartley that everything happened because of his lateness, which had tempted her toward a human and nearly destroyed their sacred and loyal love. Yug began crying again, and seeing this, Bartley tried to console her, saying he would deal with the human immediately if that was the cause of her sadness. He asked her if she would still be upset if he killed the human. Yug, delighted, said yes and explained that Bartley was her eternal love. Even after death, they would be together in the void, so she could never love another man. Yug said she admired Bartley's majestic and dominating nature. By then, Bartley noticed Cirrus and Bella slowly trying to escape. He angrily shouted at the goblins, asking why they hadn't stopped the humans. The goblins replied that their queen had just ordered them not to interfere. Hearing this, Bartley grew even angrier, called them fools, and charged toward Cirrus. In an instant, Bartley reached Cirrus and furiously asked how he dared to charm his wife, Yug, before kicking him into the air. Cirrus was flung far away and felt as if his entire body had shattered upon hitting the ground. He realized he couldn't withstand the Monster King's attacks because they were so fast that they were nearly impossible to see. Bartley approached Cirrus in anger and declared that he would cut him into two. As Bartley closed in, Cirrus yelled for his system to lock him immediately. Just then, Yug arrived, slapped Bartley, and told him to leave Cirrus alone. Bartley was stunned and asked why Yug had done that. In the meantime, Cirrus attempted to escape. Bartley, heartbroken, cried and asked Yug why she had done this, realizing she truly cared for the human. Yug's actions broke Bartley's heart, and Cirrus leveled up. Cirrus wondered if he could now defeat the Monster King, but decided to move farther away. Yug then lustfully said she wanted Cirrus' body and moved toward him. Bartley grabbed her hand and asked what she was saying, reminding her that she had just said he was her eternal love. Yug pulled her hand away and ran toward Cirrus. When Cirrus looked back, Yug was already near him. Yug leapt onto Cirrus and started kissing him. Seeing this, Bartley became sad, and Cirrus was left at Yug's mercy. Bartley blamed himself and said that due to his shortcomings, humans had found an opportunity to dominate him. Yug angrily retorted that Bartley was ruining her quality time. Bartley felt even sadder, and during this moment, Cirrus received a level 5 upgrade. Bella also yelled at Yug, telling her to leave Cirrus alone. Cirrus warned Bella not to come closer, but Bella didn't listen and endured Yug's attack. Yug grabbed Bella with her tail and started kissing Cirrus again. Yug wondered why she was behaving this way, yet she felt happiness deep inside. Suddenly, Bartley shouted that Yug had lied to him. He charged to attack her but stopped as his sword froze. He still loved Yug. Ignoring him, Yug kissed Cirrus again, breaking Bartley's heart completely. Enraged, Bartley picked up his sword and began doing something drastic, possibly leading to self-destruction. Cirrus's system detected Bartley's complete breakdown, and Cirrus upgraded his powers by 3 more levels. Seeing Bartley's state, Yug asked what he was trying to do, while the goblins, terrified, thought of fleeing. One goblin loudly asked the others if they wanted to die or escape. Meanwhile, something strange was happening with Bartley. On the other side, Cirrus had reached level 10 and unlocked new skills. One of them, Swift Body Slash, transformed his sword into a phantom, instantly appearing within a 5-meter radius of the enemy and delivering a decisive strike. Cirrus lifted his sword and slashed Bartley, defeating him in a single strike. Yug was stunned to see Bartley lose so easily. Cirrus reflected that upgrading further could grant him even more powerful skills. But Yug, frustrated with Bartley, recalled how he had always underperformed. She had expected him to be weak, and he turned out exactly as she thought. To her surprise, Bartley suddenly lunged at Yug and grabbed her. Scared by this sudden attack, Yug loosened her grip on Bella, releasing her. Bartley screamed at Yug, demanding she keep her promise and die with him. Yug replied that she didn't want to die. Cirrus's system informed him that Bartley was about to self-destruct. Cirrus grabbed Bella and tried to escape. Meanwhile, Yug cried and begged Bartley to leave her alone, shouting that she didn't want to die. In a moment of desperation, she screamed for someone to save her. Suddenly, Cirrus appeared and cut off Bartley's hands with his sword. He then grabbed Yug and fled. In his final moments, Bartley called Yug's name before self-destructing. The explosion shattered the ground into pieces, causing Cirrus, Bella, and Yug to fall. As they fell, something strange happened to Yug. Upon landing, Bella fell beside Cirrus, while Yug landed on top of him. Cirrus wondered if they had reached the bottom of the dungeon. He then noticed a salamander and was stunned. His system revealed that it was Yug in her salamander form. Yug's magic value had dropped to 0, and her health points were down to just 9. Yug scrambled into Cirrus's pants to hide. Bella regained consciousness and tried to stand, but in the process, she ended up in an awkward position with Cirrus. At that moment, Cirrus received a notification that he had earned a dungeon map as a reward for defeating the Demon Lord. The notification asked if he wanted to open the map. Confused, Cirrus decided to carefully consider his decision. Meanwhile, Bella noticed that Cirrus's face was near her private area, and shocked, she quickly moved away, apologizing deeply embarrassed. Cirrus, however, paid her no mind as he was focused on the map. When he opened the map, it showed traps, dead ends, and resources. Relieved, Cirrus realized he could now navigate straight to the boss room without wandering aimlessly. Bella, confused, asked what Sirius was looking at, but he casually replied, "Nothing." Sirius realized that only his system showed him these things, and he decided to keep its existence a secret. Sirius then told Bella to leave, but suddenly a sharp pain hit his chest, and he vomited a purple liquid, possibly blood or poison. Bella panicked and asked what was happening. As he vomited, his hand began to burn, and his little finger was consumed by flames. Sirius screamed loudly and writhed on the ground, his entire body engulfed in fire. Bella ran to him, held him tightly from behind, and grabbed his burning hand. Seeing blood flowing from his back, Bella stopped him from rubbing himself further against the ground. She also realized his body was burning hot, as if it had been scorched by fire. With her help, the burning in his fingers subsided, but by then, half of his little finger had already burned away into ashes. Despite all the trouble, Sirius finds some solace and reassures Bella that for now, everything is fine. Bella, frightened, asked Sirius what was happening to her body and why it seemed to be melting. With a heavy heart, Sirius explains that he was poisoned 6 months ago. Monsters had attacked the city, and Sirius had witnessed them fighting alongside a hero from the guild. Sirius recounts that amidst the battle, the monsters were fighting over a mysterious box. One of the monsters slashed the box, causing a massive explosion. The blast shook Sirius, and he found himself buried under rubble. The box began leaking something, and as it did, blood started raining down. The foul smell of the blood caused Sirius to faint, and chaos erupted as people screamed, because the rain was burning them. Sirius explains that though he was trapped under the debris and not directly exposed to the rain, his back burned as if it were melting. Later, he woke up in a hospital where the doctor informed him he only had a year left to live. That's when a screen appeared before Sirius, claiming that the blood of the Demon Lord was the cure for the poison. The screen asked if he wanted to bind with the system and become a player to receive clues about obtaining the Demon Lord's blood. Sirius agreed, and the next piece of information revealed that the Demon Lord's blood was located in this very dungeon. Back in the present, Sirius tells Bella that he has found a way to get the antidote, which is down in the lower dungeon. Sirius stands up and tells Bella, "Let's go. There's a room ahead with clothes and weapons. Let's change first." Bella agrees, and the two head toward the room.